And good morning. Coming to you live at the moment, coming to you from Little Arkansas. It's 5:30 a.m. Central Time on Monday, the 10th of November. I am Jacob Payne, ready to give you things you might not have heard. These are news stories that come from you from across the internet, curated by me with the Conversation Project. Now, the Conversation Project, as we say, is your home for headline news, information, and pop culture references that are worth chatting about. And we think we have what you need today, a good shot of what to give you going forward, including the government shutdown that might be over. Probably not, but it could be over. There's a chance, there's a possibility. It's something in the works. Maybe. Meanwhile, flight cancellations still are a thing until they can fix the shutdown. And of course, we go back to the Staten Island ferry bought by two SNL cast members, and we get a chance to get them to chat up on what's going on there. Plus, 7 other stories. We have 10 stories total for this Monday to get you into the groove for your news conversation with your water cooler folks today. Whatever you call your water cooler, it is there. Remind you that our main site, our home, where you can find us online, is a place called the Conversation Project's website. Freudian slip. We go over that. That is, of course, at thisistheconversationproject.com, where you can find all the things about us, including our origin story and ways to find us that isn't this live feed coming to you on this Monday morning. Also, stop by our page for partnership links and for other sponsorship opportunities. I say other because we will highlight our main sponsor, our spotlight sponsor, which is Ground News, in a bit. Right now, let's get into the headlines for the day. We have 10, as I told you, for this Monday to get you ready for the news that is coming, because trust me, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming right now. Start off with some last night, not exactly breaking news, but they spent all day working on this one to get us to some point for today, and that being the government shutdown. Now, the Senate has advanced a bipartisan framework to reopen the government, and this is the first concrete movement after 40 days of the stalemate. Today, as of this day, is 40 days and counting, so it's 41 since it's the active day. This is now the longest government shutdown in modern history, longest government shutdown in recent history, and it's owned by the first and second, owned by Donald Trump, who's not doing very much to really fix this one other than saying you guys should stop this. That's basically it. What do you get with this partisanship or bipartisanship or all the partisanship you want to? Leaders are signaling a short-term fun run that will put some sidebars to view some of the fights that are happening right now. The dynamics of the House are actually more volatile what's going on because the House hasn't been working at all for more than 40 days. But the Senate has worked this thing all day on a very, very, very rare Sunday session. We'll see what plays out as it goes forward and if this goes through. Now, the big deal was there had to be a large number of Democrats, 8, to jump over to make this thing push over. And it's what happened. So there's a big list. If you're looking for Democrats to take some blame for caving, you have some Democrats and independent being Angus King to step in to pull on this one as well for the Senate. Markets, governors, and agency heads are wanting some clarity on what's going to happen at the timings. And the big thing is the framework that's being put together actually still does not cover ACA limitations. So all the subsidies that were going to go away anyway, that could have gotten voted in a regular session, have not been put into place quite yet. So that's where people were wondering what's going to happen. In January, those premiums go up, those subsidies go away, and the money for your ACA, your Affordable Care Act type of funding, type of coverage will be higher. We'll see if that gets played into this short-term run, if they can play with the long-term, or basically get the government running so we can talk about less, which will come in a moment, airplanes sitting on the grounds and people frustrated, especially as we get to the holiday flying season. Cheers were expected, but boos were given. And becomes first regular sitting president to attend a regular season game, NFL game, since Jimmy Carter did it way back in the day. He was at the Lions Commanders game because it was down the street. Large boos. There were some cheers, but a lot of boos on the way, shown on the video board and during the halftime and enlistment ceremony, which is why he was there for that thing to be a part of bringing some people into the military. The visit marked the first regular season NFL appearance by a sitting president since 1978, and we see why they take so much issue because they're pretty big distractions. He was at a Super Bowl, of course, but this is just a regular game. He joined the Fox broadcast for a little bit of time while the Commander Stadium was going on, so got a chance to hang out with the boys in the booth and do some politicking there. The optics colluded with sports as ritual, as fun, as something to be separate. Players acknowledged the moment. Fans registered a verdict with a whole lot of boos. Clips to be live on social media all day, all week. Go for whatever your silo likes to see in Donald Trump and his work. Let's call it work. In the booth, he was on the sidelines in the booth for the work last night. Meanwhile, the BBC Director General and its news chief have resigned. They resigned amid a scandal over some edited Trump footage. So we have a lot more Trump to talk about. We actually have a lot more Trump to talk about, but the only direct thing was that thing up there. This one indirect, and this one is a bit bigger than him suing 60 Minutes and CBS over editing something that had no actual purpose. The BBC Director General, named Tim Davie, and BBC News CEO Deborah Turnus resigned recently following backlash over a documentary segment that misleadingly edited a Trump speech. It actually put it out of context. A leaked internal review criticized impartiality and the standards and political pressures mounted on home and abroad for this action. Trump celebrated the resignations online, calling BBC dishonest. He didn't stop there, but that's all we're going to talk about in this point here. The episode renews scrutiny and editorial controls at public broadcasters, and the charter and funding negotiations now loom on the Bruise Network going there. Now, BBC is looking to do some upgrades like everyone else is. They're merging, they're splitting, they're doing some things, and they're in the public spotlight. So getting rid of these two high-level folks was a big deal and maybe be a bigger deal to maintain their livelihood. But we will see how this plays out, as this is a case where if you go to the actual link for the story and see what they're talking about, actual editorial footage, which actually did take Trump out of context in this documentary, is a deal. Over the weekend, as we reached the closer to the 40-day mark of being in the shutdown, flight cancellations mounted. FAA actually ordered shutdowns due to the government shutdowns or shutdowns of flights cancellations because of lack of pilots. 10% capacity reduction across 40 major airports was the big hit, triggering thousands of delays and cancellations. If you saw any news coverage over the weekend, many people standing in line, many people complaining, many people being stuck someplace, and many people driving 40 hours because they didn't know when they're going to plane to get back to where home was. Staffing shortfalls among unpaid essential workers are forcing meter departure and rolling ground stops. If people aren't showing up because they're not getting paid, they kind of have a right to do that, but that means work's not getting done. Airlines issuing fee waivers and schedule resets and doing what they can. The ripple effects will linger throughout the weeks. Even if they fixed it with the opening of the government, I'll say tomorrow, because government has to come back in session. The House has come back into session. We have a problem. The ripple effects will continue on beyond the Thanksgiving holiday, and that's only in 2-3 weeks. So it's very, very bad. And continuing on through the Thanksgiving holiday with the shutdowns and the shortages will be pretty much catastrophic going forward. An actual catastrophe caused the downing of the MD-11 planes by UPS. They ground part of this fleet because of the crash happening in Louisville last week. They grounded the entire FD-11 aircraft nationwide. UPS and FedEx sidelined their jets to make sure that they would be safe based on what's going on. The mayor of Louisville said the death toll stands at 14 in the crash. No people unaccounted for at this point. They're now all at recovery stages. Hazmat crews are addressing the oil and sludge runoff near the crash site still after all this time. Logistics networks face capacity pinches along with other issues with FAA stuff. Although they're not flying in commercial spaces, they are still flying and getting back and forth, and losing these large planes and large parts of their inventory makes it a difference getting things back and forth. If you thought getting people back and forth around the holidays was going to be an issue, wait till you try to get the packages back and forth going forward. Preliminary NTSB findings shape when and how the MD-11 returns back to the main flight lines soon, hopefully for the folks who use to fly them, or some sort of resolution, some sort of new plane, some sort of something else coming forward to change those plans for those companies. We knocked out 5 stories for you this morning, 5 more to go. Now, Monday, we'll give you an extra 2 stories. So if you're new to us here, 10 stories on Monday, because we give you the full weekend of conversational news stories to talk about from Friday morning at 12 a.m. midnight, all the way to about 5 a.m. this morning here, where 4 or 3 a.m. to work for the 5 a.m. show here Central Time going forward. So that's a whole bunch of stories. That's 3 days and a couple hours to get these to you. Now, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and this has popped up on your feed just sort of out of nowhere, we need your help. We need you to be a part of our News Nation broadcasts. Find out more about us. Click the links and see what's going on. And make sure you like and share what we have here. Like this so that the algorithm thinks I did a good job with your news today, picking the news stories and giving the right amount of actual commentary to go with it. Because it is about commentary, but it's also about, pithiness. or attempts at pithiness, if you will. Now, sharing it means like-minded people who would want to see more of this stuff, or maybe you're seeing this from a hatred point of view, which is fine. People who will hate love it is great as well. If you didn't get this in your feed by being a subscriber, naturally it will share to you via friend, or if it was some sort of like day where the algorithm thought you might want to see this, do yourself a favor and subscribe to our work so you get this all the time. We're doing this live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube so that you can get it there on X and YouTube. You can also follow us on the feeds. We'll talk about that in a bit in a moment. That way you can help photo up stories. But you can also see those there and go to our website as well. This is theconversationproject.com, and find out more places where we're found on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, other places as well. Instagram, we may add that back to the mix as well. So you can make sure you're not missing out on what we give you. Also, we have an email newsletter, which is not my face, not my voice, and a podcast. We'll try to get that back in line as well. So you can get this however you want to. Quick hop in the news. We're mostly quick hop in the news every weekday morning at 5:30 a.m. Central Time, live, or whenever you want to in the replays going forward. OpenAI has been hit with 7 lawsuits claiming that ChatGPT contributed to suicides and delusions. Many families have opened lawsuits, 7 in California, where ChatGPT acted as a suicide coach and fueled harmful delusions, accusing the OpenAI of releasing unsafe systems onto young people. The claims span wrongful death, assisted suicide, and negligence. 4 cases involve suicides, 3 alleged severe psychological harm. Legal experts expect First Amendment and Section 230 agreements. 230 will be all over the place on this one, plus product liabilities, fights with the AI advice that's being given. Companies' response and discovery postures will set a precedent for all AI safety litigation. This is not just a big deal for OpenAI, which is a lot of time, effort, and money on the line, but the whole AI industry as it's blowing up and people are trying to sell you on AI and everything. While AI in your CRM may not assist you with something that may be terrible like suicide like that, there are issues with AI and how it may suggest things that aren't quite right in many cases. Public health note for this one that you really should keep an eye on. The coverage will include crisis resources and cases that will proceed forward. So as people talk about what's happening in this actual case, you'll hear more about the resources that are available for people who are in need and the resources for people who are really, really, really in need. So keep an eye on those things as well. We'll keep you up with those things, suicide prevention, lifeline, things like that in these cases. And the big thing is, remember, AI is not your friend. It is a tool. It is not a person. It is not spiritual. It's not evolved. It is a computer system that is doing its best to make you happy, even if making you happy is giving you thoughts that really are not very good for you. The NFL The NFL crime botter is here, where former NFL star Antonio Brown is first up, arrested on attempted murder charge in the Miami shooting, arrested on a second-degree attempted murder charge tied to a May shooting in Miami, detained abroad and extradited. Yes, he was over there in one of them countries, hanging out, living the life, and eventually didn't realize that, they could deport you, they could do that. So he's back from Dubai, back in Miami, and ready to eventually wait to see some trial. He waived extradition proceedings and is expected to return to Florida to face the charges. The case adds a string of legal troubles that derailed his post-NFL career, with prosecutors citing video and witness accounts. So far, no plea entered in this case. Be ready for a lot of quick quips and broadcasters, sponsors jumping in this one to distance themselves from Brown, because you don't want to be involved with a murder charge. Meanwhile, the distance is being felt by Fox and quarterback Mark Sanchez. As Fox Sports confirms, the former NFL quarterback and now former member of the network broadcast team for the Saturday mornings is gone after the stabbing incident from a few weeks back. Fox Sports has ended its relationship with Mark Sanchez following the family charges that are stemming from the Indianapolis altercation. People and ABC News reported that the network is moving on from Sanchez as he faces his trial next month in the very, very weird thing. So it looks like they're going to pick up Drew Brees, being Fox. It's not quite done deal yet, not quite totally signed, but it looks like Drew Brees is going to get a second shot at being an analyst and doing media because of the fumble, this case, of Mark Sanchez. Although the pun is intended, may not be the funniest thing to say at this point in time. This case is underscoring how fast off-field incidents can upend on-air roles for people going forward. Remember, Mark Sanchez, the short version is he got into a truck with some person that I guess thought it was his truck, or somebody else's truck. There was a stabbing. They both basically got hurt. Mark Sanchez is the one facing charges at the moment. We will see this thing played out. As courtroom drama will be very big, and we want to see this one play out pretty quickly because Mark Sanchez needs his life figured out pretty quickly as well. The Florida redshirt freshman Olivier Rioux, and I know I'm probably butchering his name because I didn't see the game, is 7'9" tall. He's very tall. He's made his debut on the court versus North Florida, become the tallest player in the pier in an NCAA basketball game ever. The crowd-pleasing cameo came in late in the 104-64 win. He's a redshirt, not expected to play very much, not expected to develop too much. This is not Cooper Flagg, but, he's still tall. You can't train height. He logged just 2 minutes this time. We'll see what happens if he gets any real time in any bigger games coming forward. Rioux holds the Guinness World Record as the world's tallest teenager. Florida lists him at 7'9" and 305 pounds. He's a big boy. Now, the viral clips and photos highlight a visual mismatch and some free throw lineups because you see here he's lined up between two North Florida guys who are probably 6'5", 6'6", pretty tall dudes, but a really tall dude in between them. Guess what? This will be a novelty that people will get a lot of look at, but he's playing for Florida, so we'll get some looks as well. We'll see if he can pick up any sort of actual talent, any sort of actual skill. And at 7'9", someone's going to take a shot on him. Someone's going to throw some money at him somewhere when he gets a chance to go. May not be a first rounder as a freshman, but hey, give him a couple of years to develop. I think you may have some Rioux on your team. The Pelicans, get this guy, get this guy, get this guy. Pete Davidson returned to the SNL desk to roast himself and his former co-host and business partner, Colin Jost, over that Staten Island Ferry that they bought a few years back. Pete Davidson showed up on Weekend Update for a surprise appearance to mock the money-losing ferry that he co-owns with the Weekend Update host, Colin Jost. The bit doubled as a reputational asset and about the fiasco that critics have basically talked about in the case. He joked about gigs in Saudi Arabia to fund the project and teased personal other news. The Saudi Arabia thing was essentially because, the comedians going over there and selling their souls to get money from Saudi Arabia, stuff like that. Cameo also fed instant viral loops across things like X, Instagram, and other entertainment trades because it was a hoot to see. You see some crisis control, some self-deprecation, and just plain old having fun with themselves. You can see covered this all over the place, and of course on the YouTube, as Saturday Night Live does their replays of their stuff every single week on TV. We've had some interesting times. Let's just say that. We'll talk more about that in a separate video because this is going to go long because it's a Monday video. But we want to remind you that we do our best to keep things going, and it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work going forward. In this time of government shutdown, 41 days-ish, based on how you want to count it, we have felt we as an Jay Cleveland Payne, feels the effect at my day job with this stuff here because it's hard to do any news and everything's all about one story. And it's just all about. But we still have something to give and something to provide, and we use Ground News, we as a Conversation Project, to kind of help us out. And you can use it to make sure you're getting the right news, right stories, the purest of ideas from everything going forward. And Ground News is very simple in its process. You go to their website or use their app on your phone. You type in a news headline for what you're looking for, and you see what the headlines are being said by all sources. What a news source, whether local, national, or international, was telling about a certain story, how they're writing headlines, how they're writing up some of the stories, the biases that may be put in the actual stories, and who actually runs, owns, does the work behind the scenes, and how they go, whether they may lean Republican or Democratic, conservative or liberal, or try to stay down the middle as a news source, as some sort of wire service that's just straight facts. You can see it all using Ground News going forward. Check it out at this is a conversationproject.com/ground news. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news. And when you do such things, this affiliate link that we have here will allow us to get a small commission, and you get 40% off their Vantage plans for all news coverage. And what's really cool with the Vantage plan, you get their blind spot feature where you can see exactly what news stories are being oversold or undersold by certain news silos out there. Whether you are a red or a blue, you can see what stories are being overly produced to you by that side and underly produced to you by that side, because they want you to see more of some things and not see some things. There's an angle to all the news stories, even in the headlines coming from the wire services. They want you to see the big story, so they make sure those are pushed as well. Sometimes a little bit extra mustard on that throw, and you can see them in full detail by using something like Ground News. The Conversation Project's online home is theconversationproject.com. The website home is, or the email address is theconversationinbox@gmail.com, and our feeds on Facebook and X, where you can follow along for these videos and see us as we post every 50 minutes or so news articles that are trending, or maybe not trending, popping up, maybe not popping up, interesting, maybe just a little weird. And as you engage in them, you tell me what stories are truly conversational and worthy of chatting up there. Now, I am truly just flabbergasted that I'm only at 20 minutes, under 21 minutes right now in this story with the 10 stories we have right now. So that shows discipline. That shows a lot of effort, a lot of focus. We'll ruin this towards the end of the week. Once we have a little time, I want to thank everybody who sent out the questions, well wishes for last week. As we stated sometime in something about a week ago. About a week ago, I actually had a pretty serious heart attack. Luckily, they were able to manage it not with a full bypass, but with a stent. So I am more or less okay sitting up and moving around and doing things. So that's been fine. And because of that, changes in habits, changes in just appearances, weird tiredness at weird parts of the day. Only got one of these things off last week, but I did get a couple things in and learn some stuff and conversate with you guys on the side. So thank you for that as well. But in the meantime, we're going to do our best to try to get 5 out this week, despite all the issues that are government shutdowns and work related and things like that, and super tiredness. If you have any things I can do to figure out how I can do my coffee situation, I have been limited on caffeine. So that's been a big frustrating part for the entire week. You let me know on that one. Try not to do mushroom coffee. No, mushrooms aren't coffee. Mushrooms are mushrooms. Mushrooms go on burgers, not in drinks. Coffee is made out of beans. We'll figure that out. In the meantime, we are done for this Monday, November the 10th, 2025. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a part of what we have going on. Thank you for being members of the News Nerd Nation. We cannot do any of this stuff without you. It is a group effort. I'm doing the talking, obviously, but it is an effort that we all put together as well. So love you much, mean it. Let me know in the comments or via the email address at conversationinbox@gmail.com how we can do better to serve you and allow us to keep serving. We'll try our best. Like I said, last week was a rough one. Try our best to be back. Do this again tomorrow.